welcome to True Roots, Stories that Shape the Narrative. I am so pleased to have as our guest today Melanie Bowles, author, animal advocate, and co-founder of the renowned Proud Spirit Horse Sanctuary. For more than 3 decades, I believe, she and her husband have rescued and cared for hundreds of abused and neglected horses, turning their life's work into powerful nonfiction and heartfelt fiction for young readers. We have a lot to cover. We'll see how much we get to in the short time we have today. Welcome, Melanie.
Hi, thank you, Mike, for having me.
It is my pleasure. So let's just dive right in. I thought we'd spend some time first talking about your work with horses, since I find that so fascinating, and then we can sort of morph into talking about your writing, because I think that's the order that things happen anyway, right? Your work with horses was the inspiration for your writing.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So so you and your husband did not start out as horse experts, I don't believe. What sort of flipped the switch for you? What was the catalyst that got you interested in rescuing horses?
Well, we earned our living as firefighters, medics, and we lived in town. And we made the decision to move. It can be a stressful job. It was a wonderful career. We loved our jobs, but it could be stressful. So, in an effort to kind of simplify our lives, we decided to buy a home on 5 acres out in the country, envisioning our days off from work as just being peaceful and quiet. And uh, but everyone around us had a horse. We happened to move into an equestrian community with no intention of getting a horse or
Yep.
horses, but everyone around us had one. And I just simply became intrigued. There were equestrian trails all over the streets and between the houses. And so everybody would ride by waving at me, and I'd say, I want to do that. I want to join in.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you say you were living in town when you were firefighters, medics. What, in town where?
We lived in Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, okay. So that was a big move from Sarasota to North Carolina, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, we've moved numerous times to accommodate the sanctuary.
Okay.
But so no, the move was just out in the country. We still were working our jobs.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking about my geography here. So Sarasota is not that far from Ocala, right? Which is huge horse country in Florida.
Yes. Yeah, we were about a couple hours from Ocala.
Okay. Yeah. I spent a fair amount of time down there years ago doing some work when I was before I retired. Yes, I know that
Oh,
area fairly well, and I knew that it was big horse country.
yes.
Yeah. So tell me about your first horse.
As I mentioned, I was a complete novice, and I really did not know anything about horses at all. I was not a horse crazy little girl. I loved animals, but I just wasn't a horse crazy kid. I had no desire to ride or get a horse as an adult until we moved into that equestrian community. And I brought home the absolute worst horse for a novice that I could have possibly purchased. Um, she was just way too much for me. I couldn't handle her. Uh, and none of it was her fault at all.
Yeah.
It was my fault. And I named her Cody. She was our very, very first horse. And everyone told me to get rid of her, that I was going to get hurt. And a huge mistake that I'd made, a huge financial mistake. Um, and I couldn't even ride her. She was
Yeah.
just too much for me. And everyone told me to get rid of her. And I decided, again, just what I just said, it wasn't her fault, it was mine. And I wasn't going to shuffle her around anymore. I decided she had a home for life with me.
So were you ever able to ride her?
No, no, I just let her be. Um, Horses don't care about being ridden, you
Yeah.
know. They they don't care about being ridden. They don't care about having a job. They don't care about all that. But went to find a second horse that I could ride. So I found another horse that was well trained. He was a perfect match for me. And then something funny happened, or ironic, I guess. So after buying two horses, numerous saddles, because the first one I bought didn't fit Cody, and I thought that was a lot of the problem. So I bought a second saddle, and neither of those saddles fit the second horse I bought. So I bought a third saddle, plus all the fencing we had to do, building a barn, so forth
Sure.
and so on. All this stuff. I made the decision that I didn't like riding. I
Okay.
didn't care one bit about it.
So going back to your experience with Cody, so I guess you never had aspirations of becoming a professional horse cutter.
No, no, I did not.
No. So yeah, so that's interesting. So you start out with Cody, then you got another horse that you could, that was more manageable, and I guess the rest is history. But what was there a moment when you and your husband decided, gosh, I mean, this is more than just something we're doing on the side. This is our life now. This is what we are going to devote our time and energy and effort to. And when did that happen?
Well, in that time period, I met another horse. I came across another horse who needed a home, and we took him in. So now we had three horses and no desire to ride at all. But I made the decision in this search for this second horse who would have been better trained for a novice. I saw a lot of mistreatment and I saw a lot of abuse and I saw a lot of neglect.
Mhm.
And during that time, my father lived with us and he was getting close to his 80s and his health was failing. And when he passed away in our home, at our home. It was expected. He was failing. And Jim and I were just sitting outside. I was reflecting about my father's passing. And I felt like I wanted to do something in this world to give back without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
My father's death just really hit me that I was still young, and healthy and fit, but life is so fleeting and life goes so fast. And I started thinking about what did I want to do with my life? Yes, I was earning my living as a firefighter medic, but I think we all need something to feel passionate about something, something that we give back to the world around us without expecting anything in return. And the horses really became my passion. So I would say to answer your question would be right around the time my father died, reflecting on these things.
Yeah, so there's a pattern here, right? I mean, I would think most people who become firefighters and medics, they do it because they have a passion for and feel a calling for helping other living beings. And the same thing is true for you and Jim today, doing what you do with horses, right? It is a passion for helping other living creatures, whether it's people or animals.
Well, I really do believe that we are happiest in life when we take the focus off ourselves. I
Sure.
really, really believe that. If we stop thinking about what we have, what we don't have, what we wish we had,
Yeah.
and instead find ways to give back beyond ourselves, I think that's the purest joy. I truly believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So let's talk about Proud Spirit a little bit. I'm just curious, can people visit the sanctuary? Do you encourage visitors?
No.
No. Okay.
We aren't technically open to the public. We don't mind showing folks around, but no, we're not technically open to the public. But of course, we've had guests and shown them around and introduced them to the horses for years. We've done that, a lot.
Yeah.
but I don't
Well,
encourage it.
yeah, okay. So what for people who don't know a lot about animal rescue, whether it's horses or, dogs or other animals, what do people get wrong about it? What preconceived notions have you had to dispel or disabuse yourself of? What would you like to tell people that maybe they don't understand?
Well, first of all, it is an unyielding commitment. Um, I don't think I've had people read my books and they were inspired to start a rescue organization themselves.
Hmm.
And many shut down within a year, sometimes
Hmm.
less, sometimes a little more. But I know so many rescue organizations who read my books and think, oh, that's the life I want. And then they go to pursue it. And then they realize it's just too much and they
Yeah.
shut back down. And um, and when I say an unyielding commitment, I really, really mean that with, you know, I often say, I have a beloved nephew. I couldn't go to his wedding. Um, you can't, you turn down invitations. You can't go on vacation. And I'm not complaining. It's the life we've chosen, but we've never wavered. And that's frankly pretty rare.
Yeah. So, but I would imagine that you have to work really hard to fight potential burnout, right?
I, not me. I know people do.
Yeah.
Rescue work is very hard. You're
Yeah.
seeing the worst of humankind, and it's tough to deal with. And I have never felt I can't do this anymore. Um,
Yeah.
Not the commitment. Now, I did several years ago, we did make the very difficult decision to step away from active rescue work. Number one, we're getting older.
Hmm.
We felt it was the responsible thing to do. We've been doing this for 30 years. We are committed to the horses who are here,
Hmm.
but we are not adding to the herd anymore. We have stepped back from active rescue work, working with law enforcement, going on scene, responding to calls for an abused or neglected horse. And I will tell you how the way that looked when you are stepping onto someone's property who is being accused of abusing or neglecting a horse and the horse is standing there starving, if you become confrontational, you're going to shut everything down and you're
Hmm.
not going to be successful. Even though inside I'm looking at this person who has done the damage to this animal relying on them, and I'm seething inside because you just can't understand how someone can look at this starving horse and not know they have to do something.
Yeah.
So, but if you become confrontational, it'll go nowhere. It'll end up, you're not going to get custody of the horse. Um, so I always remain very calm and sympathetic and friendly and almost like I feel worse for the owner, what the owner's going through than the horse, which of course is
Interesting.
not true at all.
Interesting.
But when I noticed several years ago, I started becoming confrontational.
Hmm.
And that was how burnout looked for me. I couldn't hold my tongue. And it never happened before in decades of rescue work,
Hmm.
dealing with someone who abused or starved an animal. I always remained calm and I started to lose that. And I couldn't, and I recall a man I got angry with, and I knew I was telling myself to calm down, to stop, to either walk away or get a hold of myself, and I couldn't stop myself.
Hmm.
And I don't know if this is too much, but the man shot the horse.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
And it
God.
was my fault, I felt.
Yeah. So was that around the time that you and Jim decided we should take care of the horses we have, but stop
Yes, yeah.
rescuing
We
other?
had
Yeah.
intervened on over 400 horses at that point,
Holy cow.
and at one time our herd numbered in the 70s. We were on 300 acres, and our herd numbered in the 70s. And I knew, and if I just knew after that incident, when I lost it, I knew it was time to step away.
Yeah, interesting. So how many horses do you have now?
16 right now. And
16.
we are not adding to the herd anymore.
Yeah. How many did you move to North Carolina?
53.
Oh my gosh. And what was that like? What was that move like?
Stressful.
I'm sure. I'm sure it was. Yeah.
We hired professional haulers in semis,
Hmm.
semis outfitted for horses, obviously, and three semis. And
Wow.
so Jim went on ahead to the property, and well, it wasn't, yeah, it gets complicated because we've made several moves to accommodate the herd. It wasn't the move to North Carolina. We moved to in between when we retired from our jobs at the fire department, we moved to Georgia.
Okay.
But it gets complicated
Yeah.
because first we were on 5 acres, then in Florida, then we moved to 50 acres in Florida, still working our job at the fire department. Then when we retired, we moved to several hundred acres in Georgia. Then as we made the decision to not take in any more horses and the herd dwindled naturally, we made the move to North Carolina.
Yeah.
So
Where were you in Georgia?
outside of Augusta.
Outside of Augusta. Okay. So I have a friend who is a child psychiatrist, and he works a lot with abused children. And I've talked to him before about the emotional toll that that takes on him and the importance of being able to compartmentalize and find outlets outside of his work to to relieve that emotional toll and tension. Now, I know you have found writing as an outlet, but are there other things that you have found that are important to help you deal with the emotional toll of dealing with abused animals?
No, this is pretty much our life.
Oh,
We,
okay.
yeah, I enjoy going for walks. I think I'm pretty good at and aware of self-care. But just I don't feel the need to get away from the horses or um yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Can we talk about ethics a little bit and about not just horses, but animals in general?
Sure.
So I'm just curious about something. We just had a few days ago the running of the Kentucky Derby. Um, I used to be a big horse racing fan, but I am no longer. Um, but
I'm
because
happy to hear that.
yeah, I'm concerned about the toll that sport takes on on the horses, but also the jockeys. But I'm just curious about your take on that, on horse racing as an industry, and also other things like rodeos and things like that. I mean, how do you is that something that you've been pretty vocal about, that you're an activist about?
Yeah, I despise thoroughbred horse racing industry. Number one, the jockeys have a choice, the horses don't.
That's true.
And one of the most, whenever one of these high profile races come up, The most ignorant comment I hear online when people start bickering about whether horse racing is should stay or go, or uh, the most ignorant statement I see online is people saying these horses are treated like royalty. No,
No,
they are
no.
not. Uh, um, I just, it makes my stomach hurt when people say that. It could not, there could not be anything further from the truth. They have no autonomy. They are sleep deprived. They have
Right.
no companionship. They have no normal movement, meaning walking, playing in a field. They are stalled unless they are on the track, breezing, or racing.
Hmm.
And you cannot be, it's like locking a toddler in a closet. The biggest thing is that these horses are 2 years old. They are babies, they are infants. Their bones haven't even properly developed yet. They suffer hairline fractures, complete fractures, compound fractures, bone chips, bone spurs. Uh, when the injuries are sort of minor, they're given drugs to run through the pain. They
Hmm.
are given drugs to stop their lungs from bleeding. In other words, they are pushed so hard that their lungs bleed, literally. They are given Lasix before any race so their lungs don't bleed. Furosemide, that's, to flush excess fluids from your body. And
Yeah.
oh, it goes on and on and on. A 12 by 12 stall is not being treated like royalty.
Right.
Matching water buckets, they don't care about that. Their name on a halter, they don't care about that.
Yeah, exactly.
A gold plate on the door, they don't care about that. Nothing about this lifestyle is what a horse needs to thrive and be healthy. And anything you can argue about any of this, the huge abuse is the age of these horses. Period. You cannot deny that. There's
Yeah.
nothing to argue about there. They are babies.
Right. And I'm assuming you would say the same thing about rodeos.
Well, that's a whole different. Those horses, they do live. They do have turnout. They do have, not all. It's all different, but um, no, I don't. At the actual rodeo, no, I don't like it. I think it's abusive
Hmm. Hmm.
to all the animals. The bulls, everything. I don't. I think
Sure.
it's.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would imagine, I mean, there are horses that are deployed, for example, as workhorses. I guess I mean, they still may be abused, but I guess that's less frivolous, if you will, than horse racing and rodeos, which exist only to satisfy humans'
Well,
desires, if you will.
and there's also another misconception a lot about me. People think I don't like or I'm against riding a horse. I'm
Right.
not.
Yeah.
People think I'm against enjoying your horse as a companion and going for trail rides or competing. Um, as long, excuse me, as it's done humanely,
Sure.
and the horse has some autonomy, has a life of its own beyond what you want to get out of them. And if you've got a show horse and you enjoy competing in shows, but you give your horse time off and you give your horse companionship and he or she can move around the field and have natural movement, that's great. I'm not against
Sure.
any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I may have told you in some of our conversations leading up to this interview today that or maybe I didn't mention it. I don't know. I used to ride a lot, and I love horseback riding. I rode English. I haven't done a lot of Western riding, but I did a lot of English riding.
No, I didn't
And
know that.
and I love the horse. I mainly rode a horse at a stable just outside of Atlanta, and I loved the horse that I rode. I've never owned a horse, but I loved the horse that I rode, and I love English riding because there's a unique way that the rider and the horse communicate with each other that's different from Western riding. And I love that. I mean, horses are such wonderful, very bright animals, and I miss riding a lot. Um, yeah, but I that it was it's that bond that I formed with the horse that I rode. The horse that I rode was named Tequila, and the name was well deserved. Okay.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
something very magical about a 1,000-pound animal letting you on his back, you know, and moving in harmony and not forcing anything and acknowledging and being in the moment with such a powerful animal.
Yeah.
It truly is. It's magical.
Yeah. So let's sort of morph into talking about your writing a little bit. So you were leading this demanding but very rewarding life. And at some point you decided, I don't want to just live this life. I actually want to write about it.
Hmm.
And tell me a little bit about that transition.
Well, I've always loved to write. I've always been a big reader. Um, uh, and I would write for myself at first. I never ever intended on getting published.
Mhm.
I would write down the stories of the horses, and it was really just cathartic for me. Uh, Never intended on even showing anyone these stories. I just was kind of chronicling the how the horse came to us, the condition the horse was in, and the healing process and
Mhm.
that type of thing. And one day I decided to show a friend this packet of stories I had, and she took the packet home and she read them and when she gave them back to me, she said, "You need to get these published." And that had never entered my mind. And this
Right.
was way before social media, way before Google, way before everything.
Sure.
I didn't even know how to go about getting published. What? That's crazy. I'm not an author. And but the idea settled in with me, and I thought, well, why not? Why not me? And I love to write so much. Why not do something with them? And so I figured out how to contact publishers. Again, it was a completely different way to go about things way back then.
Sure.
Uh, and I sent query letters to a couple publishers that I thought might be a good match. And one actually got back with me almost right away and
Yeah.
said they wanted to offer me a contract.
That is very
And
unusual.
well, I
Melanie,
know.
that's almost unheard of, especially these days. But yeah, to even back then, to write two query letters and get a contract,
Oh,
that's
I know. Yeah,
yeah,
I cried.
yeah,
It was, well, then I thought, oh gosh, now I have to actually write a complete book because it was not a complete book at the time. But
sure,
they offered me a contract and told me to get on it, that they loved what I wrote and they wanted to use
yeah,
the stories that I did have, but I needed to complete it. And so there was that terrifying thought. And but I got it done, and it went very well. They were very happy with it right out of the gate. Ooh, I hate that phrase.
yeah, yeah. No, I
Take that out.
understand.
No,
I understand.
right away. They um right after publication, it sold over 10,000 copies.
Yeah,
And it's still selling 20
yeah,
years later.
yeah,
That book was, oops, sorry, my phone. That book was the Horse is a Proud Spirit. the same publisher asked me for a second book, and that writing came very, very easy to me and very quick. I got that done fairly quickly. And that book came out, and it sold very well, and it's still selling. And then they asked for a third one. Um, and then I took a break from writing. This was kind of at the height of when the herd was so large. And
Mhm.
I stepped back from writing a little bit. And then I decided, this may have been a follow-up question of yours. I decided I wanted to veer into um, books for kids.
Yes.
And the publisher I was with did not publish books for kids. So I had to find another publisher.
Yeah.
But now we are in the age of Google and everything and
Sure.
websites and social media. So I did the research on trying to find a publisher that focused on kids' books. And I found another fabulous publisher that offered me a contract. And
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I write character-driven historical fiction. My characters live inside of me. They speak to me. If they didn't speak to me, I couldn't write. So, do your horse characters speak to you?
um, I don't think I'd word it that way, but yeah, you
Mhm.
know, your horses are so, they live in the moment. They are so present. They are so, they are so intuitive. They're really extraordinary animals.
Yeah,
And as I get to know them, when I first bring them to the sanctuary, and they're healing from the starvation or the neglect, um, I do feel a tremendous connection to them. Yes. Um, but speak to me probably on some level. Yeah, I understand what you're saying about characters living in you. My
yeah,
character in my kids' books, that girl is in my heart all the way.
sure.
Yes, so I get that. But yeah,
So what is it? I write fiction. I have not published any nonfiction. I do want to talk a little bit about why you decided to write to target, I think, mainly middle grade readers. But before we talk about that, um, how do you find writing fiction as opposed to writing nonfiction? Do you find one easier than the other? Do you, are they,
that's a great question. I think, they're two different animals, that's for sure.
sure.
Um, the I don't think I could have written the fiction if the main character in the book hadn't come to me so strongly. I
Hmm.
couldn't get her out of my head.
Hmm.
So
Don't you love it when that happens?
yes. So in
Yeah,
some way, um, it wasn't fiction because it
right.
was so real in my head,
Sure.
this character. So but yeah, it's completely different. You're narrating a story that actually happened for the nonfiction, and so I'm trying to create interest out of facts.
Sure.
It's got to be readable. It's got to hold your attention. It's got to make you want to turn the next page, which is true in fiction or nonfiction.
Sure.
But um, fiction, again, just that girl in in the two books. She was just so on the page and in my heart.
Yeah. Sometimes fictional stories can can reveal truth
Oh, yeah.
in a powerful way that even sometimes conveying something as nonfiction cannot. I mean, I think that's the power of fiction, of really, really good, compelling stories. So why middle grade? I think it's middle grade that you mainly target. Why? Why have you ever considered writing fiction for adults, or are you pretty much do you love writing to that audience?
Well, actually, I have a completed manuscript there are no horses involved, and I'm querying it right now.
Okay.
It's fiction, it's for adults.
Oh, good.
There isn't a horse anywhere in the book. So
All right.
I'm trying to find a home for it.
Yeah.
So,
Very, very good.
but why younger readers? Well, I wanted to, the inspiration for wanting my stories published, the nonfiction books, was to hopefully reach other horse owners about what
Mhm.
horses deserve
Mhm.
and hopefully make them take a look at their own horse keeping and do better for their own horses. Way back then, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, we were failing our horses terribly as a country. We're sending 70,000 horses to slaughter every year. And I can go on and on about a bunch of other things that are not nice.
Mhm.
And I thought if I can reach horse owners and maybe make a difference, that we could stop failing our horses as a nation. And 30 years later, we are still failing our horses. And I thought, I've got 3 books out. I've written dozens of feature articles in equestrian magazines. We've been, PBS did a full length documentary about us. Um, I speak, I do interviews, I try to reach as many horse people as I can. But 35 years later, we're still failing our horses. And I thought to myself, I got to reach kids
Mhm.
with an
Mhm.
uplifting, fun story about the way horses deserve to be treated.
So with your fiction, then, I think based upon what you've been telling me, I think I know the answer already. But if you think about the fiction, do you write to educate, to entertain, to inspire, to help you process, or is it a combination of all of those things?
All of the above.
Yeah, yeah. I think you almost said something a minute ago, but then I could be wrong. But when you were talking about your audience, I thought I heard you almost say these girls are your readers mainly girls, or do you know?
I no, no, I hear from young boys. I don't rec I think I was talking about the character in the book when I said this
Yeah,
girl. I don't recall saying these girls. I maybe I'm wrong, but no, I hear from boys.
yeah,
Everyone thinks horse books are for girls.
yeah. That's why I'm
Uh,
asking the question. That's my naivete, probably, because I don't know. But yeah,
no, I've heard from lots of young men, young boys, and I've heard from grown men who have read the stories. I heard from someone, he told me he was 76 years old. I just finished reading your books. Um, they remind me of growing up with my grandpa.
yeah.
So, and that was a full grown man. So, and I've had another young boy wrote me a letter and said, "Dear Mrs. Bowles, I'm 11 years old and I just read your books. I hate to read, but I couldn't stop turning these pages."
Oh, that's
So,
wonderful.
yeah.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, I have a friend and fellow writer who just passed away at a very young age, but she wrote a lot of spiritual inspiring books, but she also wrote YA. And I read one of her YA books and I thought it was wonderful, you know. Um, so there's no even though you write for a target audience, that doesn't mean that adults can't enjoy it as
Oh,
well.
I agree. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's go back to the horse world a little bit. So the confrontations that you tried to avoid for a long time, but that you had with some of the animal abusers. But what about traditional horse owners in general? How have they received what you do? Or do you get pushback from traditional horse owners? Do they think that you are maybe taking things a bit too far in some of the positions you take? Do you sometimes feel like you're an outsider in that the horse community, or do you feel part
I
of the
wouldn't
community?
say, yes, I wouldn't say that I take things too far. I think most traditional horse people think I don't do enough.
Okay,
So, in
okay,
other words, I don't insinuate myself into a horse's life the way they do.
sure,
Um, um, Micromanaging, I don't do that. Our horses live a life of freedom. So I get pushback about things such as weaning a foal or how a horse should be fed or the amount of turnout they should have. So those, and it's not so much anymore because people are learning more and more and more about what horses need to thrive and be. But when I first got into this, almost everyone I knew stalled their horse unless they were riding him. Very little turnout. If they did get a little bit of turnout, it was just a small little itty bitty paddock where they could go in and out of their stall. But it's mind numbing boredom. Horses need to move to be
sure,
healthy,
sure,
like we do. Um,
yeah,
Again, it's like sitting in a lounge chair all week and then going to play football on the weekend. You know,
yeah,
you
sure,
have to move to be healthy. So this was, and I never stalled our horses. Our horses were free 24/7. Um, so I got a lot of pushback about that they
yeah,
needed to be installed. No, they don't.
right.
Uh, uh, Shoes. People told me I needed to put shoes on them. No, I don't. Horses don't need shoes. And that's becoming more and more and more common where people are not shoeing horses. A horse's hoof needs to flex to be healthy. It's not just a hard, unmovable thing. A horse's hoof flexes, it has a blood supply. Uh, I always say horses have five hearts, the one in their chest and the four on the floor. So every
Oh, I
time they
love it.
take a step, it's moving blood up and down their leg. And when
Sure.
you put a hard metal shoe on, the hoof can no longer flex. I don't get shoes at all. I really don't. But people are waking up to that more and more and more.
Well, horses existed for a long, long time before horseshoes, right?
Oh gosh, and the horses in the wild, their hooves are
Exactly.
gorgeous. They have beautiful hooves
Yeah.
that are bare, and they're on rocky soil. They're on hard desert rocky soil, and their hooves are
Yeah.
gorgeous.
So what has working with horses taught you most about people?
Um, I think humans struggle to be in the present moment. Um, and you can't lie to horses when you're with them. Your body language, your everything has to tell the truth. And I think that humans tend to make decisions through their ego.
Right.
And horses have taught me, horses do not have an ego. The herd cannot function. A herd of horses, um, any self-centered energy is detrimental to the herd.
Mhm.
And so horses have taught me to slow down, to be in the moment, to be present, because they are so good at it.
Sure.
And um, again, there's no ego dictating their decisions. And
Right.
humans, that's all we do. Will this make me look good? Will I sound intelligent? Is this going to get me ahead? All our decisions
Sure.
are ego based.
Sure.
And there can be no self-centered energy in a herd of horses.
Yeah. I'm a huge dog person, and I really do believe this is controversial, and a lot of people have looked at me askance when I say it, but I think in many ways dogs are fundamentally much more intrinsically good creatures than humans are.
Oh, I
Yeah,
agree. We
yeah,
are aligned on that, brother.
yeah, yeah. And I would imagine the horses know clearly when you are healing them. They know that you're healing them.
Oh, I agree. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, so many that's kind of almost difficult to answer
yeah,
because there have been so many profound moments. Uh, Cody really, Cody was the really set me on the path of understanding that horses have an intrinsic right to their own life
mhm,
and they micromanaging them is detrimental. Uh, and I just wish that people who have horses or want to get a horse or are around horses would truly educate themselves about what and who horses are. Um, Again, just back to that gruesomely ignorant statement that thoroughbred racehorses are treated like royalty.
yeah,
Anyone who says that knows nothing about horses.
yeah,
And that is, I just wish people would take the time to really educate themselves. There's so much wonderful information out there about what horses need to thrive and to be who they are. Stop thinking about what you want from them, what you're going to
yeah,
get
sure,
from them.
yeah.
Think about what and who they are.
But they get to wear those wonderful wreaths around their necks when they win, right?
I know, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty twisted, really, when you think about it. So, we'll sort of begin to wrap up here. But I'm just curious. I mean, you're with with Proud Spirit. You've been doing this for 30 years. You've had many more horses than the 16 you have right now. Your business model, I'm assuming that you have had to spend a lot of time over the years raising money, or have you pretty
Oh,
much
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And does that continue to be a challenge for you, or do you still look for funding sources to keep the sanctuary going?
Oh gosh, yeah, we couldn't function without funding. There was a time back when we had more horses, we were going through 60 to $70,000 a year in hay. That's
Right,
not vet bills, that's not the farrier, that's not the vet, that's just hay. And not so much now because we have less horses, of course, but no, funding is always a source of stress. Uh, it's not as bad as it was. Number one, we have less horses, and number two, we have such an exemplary reputation. I don't have to prove ourselves so much anymore.
sure.
And anyone making a donation to any animal rescue or any 501(c)(3), you have a right to find out all you can about this organization, but I don't have to prove myself so much anymore
Right,
because
right.
we have such an exemplary reputation. And but yeah, it's a tremendous amount of stress.
Is it fairly easy for people to go on the Proud Spirit website and donate money?
Yeah, yeah, we've got a page just for donations that, any we are a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization. Our address is there. You can send a check or you can do PayPal or you can
Sure.
any normal way.
Yeah, that's good. Because I'm hoping maybe that people who watch this interview might be inspired to do that. I'm assuming that you have a mix of individual small money donors and then also larger, maybe even corporate donors who help keep
Yes,
you going.
periodically. We have a regular group of people, followers who donate monthly, and we it's from $5. We have one woman who donates $5 every month, and I love her as much as the ones who donate $100 every month. Every dollar matters, and it all adds up. So, yeah, um, and then periodically, we will get a grant. Those are very difficult to get, but not so much. I mean, I'm not too bad at it now. I used to be really bad at fundraising, but I've gotten a little bit better, but it's still stressful.
Okay, so now I'm hearing about another side of you. So you are you are a firefighter or medic, you are a horse rescuer, you're a writer, and you're also a grant writer. Or you were at one time, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which requires a whole other set of skills.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah. Well, Melanie, this is wonderful. We're coming up on not quite an hour yet, but is there anything that we haven't touched on that you would like to talk about, either related to firefighting or animal rescue or animal abuse or writing or anything?
No, this has been a wonderful interview. Thank you so much. I would love to encourage a little shameless self-promotion here. Buy my
Yes.
books.
Well, that's my
Uh,
next question. How can people learn more about you, about Proud Spirit Horse Sanctuary, and about your books? Where can they buy your books? And yeah.
the books are available anywhere books are sold.
Mhm.
I don't sell them here. They're traditionally published. They're any bookstore can get them in. Um, I'm not a fan of uh, singing praises of the big A, but
Mhm.
I'm
I'm
a
not either.
big, yeah. So, but they're there. But but I'm a independent bookstore fan. I encourage people to go to your local independent bookstore. If you don't have one, there's bookshop.org. Uh,
Sure.
um, and yeah, I would just like to see more books in school libraries donated to schools. I've been trying to do that myself, donate as many as I'm financially able to middle schools and libraries. And yeah, little shameless self-promotion. Buy
No,
those
that's
books.
good. That's good. I'm a big fan of bookshop.org, by the way. It's a really good
Yes,
a good
yes.
a good organization. And I'm assuming you have probably a local bookstore up your way that's your
Yeah,
your
there's
local
quite there's
favorite.
actually several bookstores in like spokes of a wheel, different areas from me, and they've all been so good to me. They
Yeah,
stock the
good.
book and have me for book signings, and um, our in our small town here in um, Wilkesboro is a bookstore. They've been so wonderful to me. It's called the Book Room, TBR.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
good. I like
yeah.
that. I
Yeah,
like
and
that.
it's adorable, wonderful little bookstore, and they keep Liberty Biscuit and Little Pearl in stock. So bless them.
Yeah. I am I am much more optimistic about the future of independent bookstores today than I was, just a couple of years ago. I
Oh,
think
I completely agree.
they're coming back, which is
I
great.
think
Which is great.
I know so many that are just thriving.
Yeah. Melanie, I cannot tell you what a an absolute pleasure this has been. I really appreciate your time, and
Thank you, Mike.
I hope our viewers will love this interview and will go out and buy your books, but also learn more about Proud Spirit and maybe donate some money to your wonderful cause.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful. I really enjoyed speaking with you.